I was thinking of calling this episode Confessions of a Past Primary School Teacher, but I've changed my mind and you'll see that that's not the title that we chose to go with. But the reason why I wanted to call it that is because one of the key questions I get consistently when I work with organizations and as I build an audience on social media is, how in the world did you make your career transition? I'm working in this space or I'm working in this industry and I've got such a deep desire to be somewhere else. So the conversation we are going to have today is the conversation about what it takes to make a career transition, key things to think about, but also what does it look like to make a career transition in a strategic way. And I will be using insights from my personal journey of making a career transition, but also the key themes and ideas that I teach to transitioning teams, but also that I used to use to coach individuals who are moving through career transitions of all different sorts. Teaching, manufacturing, engineering, you name it. I've worked with individuals who have made some of the most exciting career transitions. And today you will get my formula as to how to be strategic about those career transitions, but more than anything else, how to identify where you are and use that beautiful self-awareness to start to move forward. And so that's pretty much what we're going to cover today. So my beautiful, beautiful unlearner who is expansive and excited about the future, welcome to this episode of the UnLearners podcast. The UnLearners. Learn, change, the unlearn. I think if you take one courageous step at a time, it's going to be such the unlearn. Learn, change, grow. Hey, welcome to this episode of the UnLearners podcast. So I am so excited about this episode because it means that I get to chat to you about my journey, but also I get to help you wherever you are in your career, and we'll establish that just now, but wherever you are in your career to think about what's next for me. Because when we think about career transitions, and the way I like to approach them is regardless of where you are in your career, it's so important to be very strategic about the next move that you make, because the next move may not be moving out of the organization that you are in or moving out of the industry that you are in. It might just be right here where you are. But how do you know unless you are being strategic? Too many of us, and I say this with so much love in my heart, but so many of us approach our careers with this, let's see what happens. I will just sort of play the field. I'll play it by ear. We'll just sort of see where things go when we approach our careers. Now that's beautiful. And I admire being led by your heart and your gut, or your heart brain and your gut brain. But I believe that it's important to engage your head brain as well when you have conversations around your career. Yes, feel into, use your intuition, but also use your head. And that's my advice. At least that's the approach that I teach when I think about career transitions. So like I said in the introduction, a lot of today's conversation is going to be based on my work facilitating and supporting transitioning organizations on a big scale, but also bringing it into the individual who's transitioning on a personal but professional level. So you're going to get a lot of different things that have come to what I teach when I support individuals through career transitions. Now, let me just say this as we move on. I no longer coach individuals one-on-one when it comes to career transitions, but there is an opportunity to work with myself and my team at the UnLearners if you are going through a career transition, or maybe not necessarily a career transition, but you want to be strategic about how you think about your career. So there is an opportunity to work with us through our online course and community called the Career Review Checklist. And the Career Review Checklist is a 7-step video course that walks you through 7 key things you want to do as you review your career every single quarter. Now, if you are not reviewing your career, hello, what are you doing? What are you doing with your time? What are you doing with your life? And the reason why I say that is because that idea of being strategic and intentional about your career is so important, because it makes the difference between someone who is able to move through the traffic, someone who's directed, someone who has a North Star, someone who knows what decisions to make, knows what opportunities to take into consideration and which ones to let pass by. It's the difference between that and someone who just goes, oh, I don't really know. Maybe I should take some time to think about it. Oh my goodness, what should I do? Because when you have a career strategy that we walk you through building in the career review checklist, then you have a guide around, okay, these are the types of decisions I make. This is my purpose. This is how I'm aligned. And this is what an organization needs to tick for me. And one of the things that we talk about quite a lot in the career review checklist is we get reviewed as professionals in the workplace, or especially in corporate. We get reviewed consistently around whether we're still performing, around whether we're still meeting our KPIs and our targets. But how often do you, as an individual in the professional space, sit down and review your career and say, is this career still in alignment with who I am, how I want to show up in the world, what I believe is important to me, my personal goals for transforming and learning and growing? So we don't do that often enough. And when you sign up to join the community that's a part of the career review checklist, you literally set yourself up to be the person who every single quarter, you review your career, you sit down, you follow those 7 steps, and you just have that beautiful peace of mind of knowing whether it's time to move on. And if it's not time to move on, you know exactly what to focus on, who to have conversations with, where to spend your time, so that you're consistently moving towards the things that light you up, doing work that you love, contributing really well to the organization that you work with. So really great. And because I'm feeling super generous today, I don't know if I'm going to regret this, but I probably won't, because I think it's well worth offering. As my podcast audience, I would love to give you a gift. And the gift that I'm going to give you today is a coupon. It's not going to be available for too long. We'll see how long we make the coupon valid for. But if you go over to our website, theunlearners.com, or you just Google the career review checklist, Zanele Njapha or the UnLearners, and if you go on there and you enter the coupon code SAVE20, I will give you a 20% discount. Yes, you heard it right. A 20% discount on our career review checklist course. And you can sign up there, you can join our community, you get a nice cute gift when you join us, but also you get to be a part of a community of other individuals who are thinking about career transitions in a very different way from so many other people. So that's my gift to you for thank you very much for being a part of this community, for supporting the work that we do through this podcast, but also just for being strategic about your career. I honestly believe that careers are not supposed to be who we are, but they're an extension of who we are. They are the ways that we continue to make an impact in the world. The way we continue to champion powerful causes is through our careers. So I hope that you take that gift, you run with it, and feel free to share this podcast episode with anyone else you think will find it valuable. And hopefully by the time you hear this and go over to the career review checklist page to check out your seat in the course, you will still be able to get that 20% off. You are most welcome. And that discount code again is SAVE20, and you get to save yourself 20% off of the price. So you knock off an entire 20%. Okay, let's get right into today's episode. So what I want to cover in today's episode is give you a bit of an idea around career transition. So we'll do a little bit of background, and then we'll talk about how to know exactly where you are in your career, and as a result, what to do. So by the end of this podcast, you will have identified where you are in your career right now. And then you will also know what next steps to take to get you moving forward in your career, to get you to the next level, to get you moving forward, to get you into a place where you are more aligned with who you want to show up as in the professional setting. So it's going to be a really valuable one. If you don't have a pen and paper, I strongly suggest, or you don't have notes on your device, I strongly suggest that you get that ready, because that's what we're going to go into today. Now, I want to start off this conversation with just sharing my story. So I used to be a primary school teacher, as I think so many of us know already, as part of the UnLearners community, but it was such a big part of who I was. And I remember, I'll never forget, guys, I remember standing in the staff room with a fellow teacher who was leaving the school to teach at another school, but I was leaving to be something else, that no one else seemed to know exactly what Miss Njapha was going to do. So I remember standing there, we were both making tea. I don't know if she was making coffee, but we were just making tea at the station, at the coffee tea station. And then the conversation started. She turned to me and she said, okay, so where are you going? What are you going to do? And I remember just feeling like such an imposter in that moment, because I knew that she was going over to another school and she could openly share that because everyone understood. But nobody understood exactly what I was going to do. And to be honest, not even myself. Because sometimes when you make a career transition, you are, it's based so much on hope. It's based so much on faith that you have built some level of security sometimes, but you're just so, the emotions, there's so many emotions swimming around in your head. So I settled with the word speaker. I turned over to her and I said, I'm going to be a speaker. And I will never forget the look that she gave me. And bless her beautiful soul, such an amazing human being. But she looked at me with such hesitation that I could tell she was asking herself, how do I respond to this? Is she going to be okay? Will she make enough money? Is it sustainable? There were all of those questions in her head that I understood. But the reason why I wanted to start off with that story is I would like to give you some level of comfort. If you are in a place of changing careers, maybe you're at the ledge right now in a career change. Maybe you're thinking about it. Maybe you're scared. Maybe you are super frightened about what it's going to mean when you finally make that change. I want to take the first few seconds of this podcast to reassure you that you're going to be okay. It's going to be fine. And even if things blow up, you will learn and I remember my amazing mentor, Graham Codrington, used to say this phrase a lot, that you build the plane on the fly, or you build the plane on the way down. And that's literally what it can be sometimes. That's literally what change can feel like. Change and transformation of any sort feels like you are building the plane on the way down, on the fly. You are just making it up as you go. And sometimes it's going to feel like that. So take comfort in the idea that you won't be perfect, but you are going to build it on the way. You are going to develop, you are going to grow, you are going to gain the tools as you continue with the journey and as you move along with it. So I think that that's an important thing to think about and something to take comfort in as you move through this journey. Now, let's move on to what to do when you are in that space. So the first thing I often advise is probably the most important thing, and you've heard me speak about this on previous episodes, is building
Yes, I know I'm interrupting the episode, but it's just to let you know that if you're enjoying this, you are going to love our weekly newsletter. So every single week, I'm sending you tips, tools, insights to help you on your unlearning journey, but also I'm sending you updates about events, our various courses that are also going to support you as you learn, change, and grow. Okay, now, finally, let's get back to the episode.
And you've heard me speak about this on previous episodes, is building a sense of awareness around your career transition. Because unless we have awareness, yes, you probably heard me say this, but unless we have awareness, change cannot occur. It's really, really tricky to be intentional and strategic about change when we haven't raised our level of awareness. Now, how do we do that when it comes to our careers? The way that we do that is by identifying which of the 3 career transition phases we are currently occupying. Now, our theory is you move between 3 different phases of your career at any given time. And these are the ones that we've identified as the unlearners that we coach our clients through when we work through career transitions. And if you join us as part of the career review checklist, this is where we're going to start identifying where you are. But every single quarter, you're going to take the quiz again. And when I talk about the quiz, if you go to zanelenjapha.com/quiz, take the 5-question quiz and find out where you are. Now, we'll go through the different phases, but I'd like to actually advise that you pause the podcast right here and you go over to zanelenjapha.com/quiz, and we will put that link in the show notes. And as soon as you have taken, it's literally going to take you like 1 minute to answer those questions. You will get a response as to which of the 3 phases you are in your career, and then come back to this. So I'll give you a few seconds. This is where you can pause. Go to zanelenjapha.com/quiz and take the quick quiz. Okay, now that you've taken the quiz, I hope you have, and if you haven't, please do take a moment later on to go over to the quiz. Now, we're going to raise our level of awareness by knowing where we are right now. The 3 different parts of the career transition. The first one is your career ending. And your career ending is the place where you are consistently dreaming about what's next. Things you might feel or experience here are things like feeling stuck, feeling frustrated, feeling a deep desire for something that just is not quite happening. You feel like you want more, you dream about more, you're hoping for more, but you get this consistent almost disappointment, like, I'm not quite getting it. It feels like something's missing. There's a lot of that in the career ending phase. We'll talk about solutions within each phase just now, but I want to just start with awareness. So that's the first one, your career ending. It's the end of a career, the end of a phase, the end of a time for you at the moment. That's the first one. The second one is a new beginning. And a new beginning is when you feel like the baby. I often say you feel like the baby in the office or the baby in the workplace. Because you're so new, everyone feels so compelled to support you. You're getting a lot of guidance. You're getting a lot of tips. You're getting a lot of support from the team. But also, you are also starting to feel like there's something new. Every single time you turn around, something's new. There's a new person that you're meeting. There's a new system that's being introduced. You have just been shown a new procedure. No, we don't do it like that. Speak to that person. They'll know what to do. So it literally feels like you're on this hamster wheel of newness. That's what a new beginning feels like to you. It can feel like you don't quite have stability and routine, and you really deeply desire it. So that's how you know, I'm at a new beginning. That's my phase, and that's phase number 2. Let me take a quick drink of water. So that's phase number 2. And then if we move to phase number 3, this is career transition phase number 3. This one is probably the one that I'm just like, yes, I love this one. It's settled and kicking ass. Yes, I said it. It's called settled and kicking ass. Now, settled and kicking ass is an interesting career phase because this is the one where you get a lot of the newbies, a lot of the rookies, a lot of the newcomers coming to you to ask for advice. They're asking for direction. They're asking for tips for survival in the workplace. But also one of the interesting things you get at settled and kicking ass is that the team that works around you has started to understand your work style. They've started to understand your capacity, but they've also started to understand your temperament as well. Things like your character, your temperament. They know how to work around you. But more interesting, and this is the part I find really funny, and if you are in settled and kicking ass phase, you'll know this one. But you have also started to understand what you can get away with and what you can afford not to do, and who you must not walk in the same corridor as, and all sorts of things, because you've got that seasonedness in that phase. Now, one of the dangers, though, that I must raise, and we'll talk a little bit more about this when we think about questions to ask, but one of the dangers in the settled and kicking ass phase is that you have something that I like to call the sage stage. And the sage stage is where you start to think, I'm the all-knowing, I know what's going on here, I can't get anything wrong, look at me, I'm the best. So you really start to let it all get to your head. You also get very comfortable at this stage, is another danger that comes with settled and kicking ass. Okay, so I'll pause right there. And those are the 3 phases that you work your way through at any given time. Now, if you've taken the quiz before, and if you've just taken it, you might have noticed that you might have even gotten 2 different phases. Now, if you've gotten 2 different phases, whether it's the career ending phase, the new beginning phase, or the settled and kicking ass phase, what you may have noticed is that if you've gotten 2, then it's a matter of asking yourself deeper questions as to what feels more authentic, because sometimes you may actually have a combination of 2 different phases. And it's a matter of double clicking into that, really finding out where you are, asking yourself some probing questions to figure out what feels most authentic to your current career journey right now. So once you've built in that self-awareness of identifying which phase you're in, and that you will find, obviously, if you go to zanelenjapha.com/quiz, that's where you will take the quiz. Now, once you've taken the quiz, the next step then would be thinking about, how do I move forward? So the quiz will help you with the self-awareness that it takes to change things in your career, or to make the career transition, or to go to the next step, or to level up, whatever that dream is for you. Now, maybe before we go into those next steps, I do want to just say that one of the most important things you want to do that are very helpful, and every time we get feedback from our students who are part of the career review checklist, one of the things they constantly rave about is the section we have in the course around building your vision and the visualization. It is so powerful of a tool that if you can build a clear vision around, whether it's 5 years, 10 years, whatever it is that feels comfortable for you, if you can build a vision around that to say, this is who I see myself being in the next few years. This is the version of myself that I am creating, that I hope to live into, and really make that clear for yourself. It makes a world of difference. Now, there are 6 other steps that are part of that process, but that's where we start the entire course. And I walk you through all of the different details you want to add, how you want to visualize it, how you want to practice feeling into it, all of those different things that help to anchor you, so that as you build your entire strategy, you know what it means and the different legs to your career. Because career doesn't just mean I've got my 9 to 4, or I've got my 9 to 5, I've got my 8 to 6, and that's what I do. Your career is literally all of the different ways that you live out who you are that create some kind of income for you. And this could mean having investments, maybe having a foundation of some sort. It means all sorts of different things. And so when you build out your career, you don't just want to think about, oh yeah, my job at this company. You want to think about the beautiful array of things you're creating. So if you haven't done that, please do join us as part of the career review checklist, because it's going to help you do all of those things. Do take advantage of that amazing 20% off coupon that I've just given you, or discount that I've given you. Now, once you've built awareness by taking the free quiz, you know exactly where you are in the 3 phases. Now you can say, okay, Zanele, I know exactly where I am. Now I'm going to walk you through the next things you want to do depending on where you are. We're going to start off with phase number 1, the career ending. If you are at a career ending, here are the questions to ask yourself that are going to help you know exactly what to do next where you are. First question that you want to ask yourself at a career ending is, are there any opportunities for growth that I'm not aware of? And here's why that one's important. Because when we're at a career ending, often we are engrossed in our emotions of either frustration, of either being stuck, of feeling like we're at an ending. So we're just looking forward and we're just looking to get out a lot of the time. And maybe that term getting out sounds a bit harsh, but often we are so engrossed in just moving on that we don't bring our awareness back to the moment to say, what else is there that I haven't taken advantage of in this moment? So that's the first question. Are there opportunities for growth that you're not aware of? Could you still schedule a good few minutes with your line manager to learn something deep about the business? Could you spend a bit more time in a different business unit, just shadowing someone so that you, even if you do move on to maybe start your own business or you move into another organization, you have literally soaked up all of those beautiful expertise and skills that when you were going about your day-to-day in an unstrategic way, you didn't actually do. So that's a very important one to take advantage of. The second question you can ask yourself at a career ending is, what emotions am I experiencing and how might I manage those emotions? Because often we're very nervous about our next, or we might be really anxious about what the future holds, or we just might be frustrated by the reasons why we are leaving in the first place, or what's annoying us, or what's not quite working with the organization that we are working with. So you really want to ask yourself, how do I validate my emotions? But also, how do I surround myself with professionals, coaches, mentors, maybe just a therapist, a counselor, someone who can support my mental well-being so that I can manage my emotions. Because unless we manage our emotions, then we will self-destruct or we will sabotage. And one of the ways we tend to do this is by burning bridges. Often we get so frustrated at the end of a career that we might just, swear at everyone or just burn down the building. Please don't do that. Or whatever it is, we might do something because we haven't given ourselves an opportunity to self-manage our emotions. So validate and then manage those emotions. That's a really key thing to do if that's where you are right now. That's your next task. Those are your marching orders if you're at a career ending. Now let's move on to the next one. New beginnings. If you're at a new beginning, so you've just started something new, you are all bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and really excited to make an impact, to just jump in, you're doing lots of learning. Two key questions for you to ask yourself. The very first one is, how will I measure my progress or my success in this new space, in this new opportunity? Because oftentimes, when we come into a new space, we are just so focused on finding our feet and making sure we don't do things wrong that we lose our strategicness in the process. We lose our awareness and our focus in the moment. So bring your awareness back. Bring yourself back into the moment to say, how am I going to know if this is working? What are those tangible, quantifiable things? Or I'm not going to use the word KPIs, but how am I going to know that this is working? Is there something that I'm looking for that when I put together my strategy, I said, you know what, I'm really looking for these key things? Because otherwise what's going to happen is we're going to get swept up in the day-to-day of that career and you will end up getting lost. And then all of those frustrations that happened before in another opportunity, maybe in a previous organization or team, might come back to haunt you again because you didn't start off with a clear awareness of what you wanted and how you would know. The same principles that you apply in your work around KPIs, around measuring things, are the exact same principles that you need to bring across when you think about your career. Second question to ask yourself at a new beginning is, who can I connect with to support me? This is the best time. Please hear me when I say this. This is the best time to get a mentor, a sponsor, a coach at this moment. If you don't have anyone supporting you, once again, I'll say it, please come and join us at the Career Review Checklist. You have access to me, you have access to our team, and literally every single quarter you have the opportunity of sitting on a live call with me, and I get to support you through your transition and on your journey. So please make sure you find someone you can trust, you can speak to, who can support you. But also, in your new organization, in your new team, in your new space? Is there someone who can play the role of a sponsor to speak on your behalf, who is in a room that you haven't gained access to say your name, recommend you, share the work that you are doing, champion you as an advocate, champion you as a subject expert or whatever it is? And then a mentor. Is there someone in the space that can mentor you, show you the ropes, guide you based on how they have transformed? And a coach. Is there someone who can scaffold for you, someone who can guide you, someone who can hear you out and help you to manage some of the inner conversations you have as you continue to grow? So if you don't have those three people in your space when you're at a new beginning, this is your next task. I want you to sit down, get a notebook, get a pen, notes on your device, whatever it is, and just jot down, who is my mentor, who is my sponsor, who is my coach, who can support me on this journey as I move ahead. And really think about that one, because these are the people who are going to make the biggest difference in your new space, especially the people in your organization who support you. And what you might find is that even in your team, there are specific people who have been allocated as sponsors, but also as mentors within your team. So find out who's available, what are the structures around that, and how do you get assigned someone to support you as you start so you can hit the ground running, which is very important. Now, those are your marching orders if you are at the new beginnings phase. Let's move right along then to end off on the third phase of a career transition. This one is what I call the settled and kicking ass phase. Now, if you are here where you feel like, ooh, I know my work like the back of my hand, you can't touch me, I could do this in my sleep, then here are the key questions for you to ask yourself that will guide you into your next. The first one is related to the issue we spoke about earlier on, or the trap that we spoke about earlier on that's called the sage stage, that I call the sage stage. And the sage stage is that thing, or the place where you find yourself feeling like the all-knowing. Nobody can touch me. I know what I'm doing. I'm above all. I'm the all-seeing. It's a very subtle feeling and space and state, so much so that sometimes we don't know that this is where we're existing. So this is a really important one to think about. Ask yourself, are you falling for the alluring sage stage? Is this where you are? Are there any evidences or any indications that this is how you might be thinking? How are you showing up in this way? Because being in the sage stage can influence how you respond to others, how you engage in the workplace, but also your outputs when you have settled and when you've become comfortable. So be very aware if this is you in stage number 3. And then the second question to ask yourself at the settled and kicking ass stage is, how can I recalibrate and align to my career development plan? The other thing about being at settled and kicking ass is that because it's such a beautifully comfortable, relaxed, in the zone, in flow stage of your career, you often lose sight of the plan that you started with. You don't brush your plan up. That's why in the career transition, in the career review checklist, we literally run a career review every quarter, because you change so consistently. You want to always check in with your plan and say, actually I wanted to do this, but I don't want to do that anymore. How do I switch this up? No, actually there's a new mentor that's come into my life. Does that shift the plan in any way? So you're always reworking your plan in a very beautiful way. So think about that. How can you realign? Give yourself an opportunity as we close off the current quarter, wherever you are in your year. How can you sit down and follow the beautiful 7 steps of the career review checklist to go, okay, how do I realign to that? Am I still on schedule for the plan? Are there different ways that I can tweak the plan? Who are the people that have just come into my life that have changed the plan? Have I just had a baby? Have I just moved to a new area? What are the things that have changed? And how do I revamp the plan according to those things? Because you may want something completely different for yourself. You may be in a very different place. So think about that and really realign your beautiful plan to where you are, because you're always changing. Remember, we've spoken about this on a previous podcast episode, but a friend of mine shared this beautiful quote with me by Heraclitus that says, nobody ever steps in the same river twice, because it's not the same river and they are not the same person. by Heraclitus. And literally the point behind that quote is you're not the same. In 5 minutes time, you're not going to be the same person because you will have heard something, you will have experienced something, you will have seen something that has shifted who you are, shifted your vantage point, shifted your perspective. So you're always different. Why leave your career review for every 5 years when you are changing consistently? Wow, this was a beautifully long episode, but so rewarding. I'd like you to keep coming back to this episode. Keep coming back to it every quarter if you need to. Every time you need to review your career, use this episode to think about what you can do next. Use this episode to run a mini review if you need it, every single quarter or every month if you want to stay on the ball as you consistently change. Or if you're on the cusp of a new transition, a new career, run this episode, listen to it, really give yourself the gift of your attention and your time as you change careers because you deserve it. Career transitions they happen all the time. Data actually shows that the average baby boomer goes through about 12 different career transitions, and baby boomers are not even us. Well, not even me. So if you are a millennial or you're a Gen Z, you are going through more career transitions. Because we change, or millennials and Gen Zs have been shown to change careers about almost every 4 or so years, and sometimes even less. And so if you're changing careers so often, you really want to be running this beautiful review every now and again. So go over to zanelenjapha.com/quiz to take that free 5-question quiz, find out where you are, and then listen to the podcast episode to know exactly what to do next. And if you're ready to join us for the career review checklist, it would be amazing to have you join us. I can't wait to support you on your journey. Please do go over to the link that's in the show notes and sign up to join us today. Remember to use that beautiful discount code that I shared with you, which is SAVE20, and you get to save yourself 20% to be a part of that amazing course. Okay, my beautiful unlearner, that is where we are going to end off this episode of the UnLearners podcast. I hope it's been valuable. Please do share this episode with anyone you know who is also navigating a career transition, because I think it's going to give them a beautiful roadmap of where to go next, how to think about their career transition, how to make it fulfilling, but also how to be intentional and strategic about their career transition. I'm sending you hugs. You can do this. It can be very scary. It can be frightening, but you can do this. Allow your heart, your gut, and your head to lead you collaboratively. And whatever happens, you already know at some level where you're supposed to be. So follow that beautiful voice that you hear and know that you're going to be okay. Sending you hearts. It's been myself, Zanele Njapha, the UnLearning Lady, saying goodbye. And I will see you on the next episode of the UnLearners podcast. The UnLearners. Learn, change, be unlearn. I think if you take one courageous step at a time, it's going to be such the unlearn. Learn, change, grow.